sincerity to do your will, not only in this courtroom, but in our personal lives. We pray that as we pray, that you already know what our needs are, whether it's government needs or personal needs. So Lord, I just ask you to do what is favorable and right and justifiable in all of our lives. Lord, we lift up the illnesses that prevail in Cameron County today. And I look back to last Saturday noontime when I ran into Commissioner Tamayo, and she was telling me about her sister very ill in the hospital there in Harlingen. So Lord, we gather here this morning to pray to you for the health of all those that are down on their back. And we ask for the healings, Lord, beyond what the doctors can see possible. Lord, we pray for today's agenda. We pray, Lord, that our visionary commissioners and county judge will do extremely well and justifiable with your leadership in what's best for Cameron County. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Mr. Bob, I'd like to ask the public for a moment of silence for the loss of a great coach from Brownsville that worked here for over 40 years. He was my coach, and he passed away. We got word last week, Mr. Gigi Garcia, or
Yes.
Gonzalo Garcia,
Yes.
which is a wonderful, wonderful man. I'd like to ask the public for a few seconds of
Silence.
bow your heads.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm glad you mentioned Gigi. I knew Gigi for many years, and I mean, he was a kid, he was a man that was all about kids.
Yes.
And that's what his life was. He was a coach, but he was not just a coach. I mean, he spent his entire life dealing with kids. He was for the longest period of time, he was on the board of directors and the chairman of the board of Esperanza Home for Boys. And be a Bethany Home for Girls back when they had girls.
Also the Optimus Club. He was
Right,
the head of
and
the
which
Optimus
does,
Club for a long time.
which almost entirely works on projects raising money for youth programs. And Gigi was just a really outstanding guy. He was a coach that was well known, but he was a guy that just focused his entire life on making sure that the youth in our community had every opportunity that they deserved, and so we will miss his loss. And the services are on I think the Rosa, there's a church service on Friday, the prayer service on Friday, and there should be one Wednesday also, and then the funerals are Saturday. And I guess it's appropriate that that same week that Gigi died, or during the weeks, the last 2 weeks when he's passed away, because he died last week, and they've been waiting for his son to come from Ireland, and that's why.
But he was out of town when he died.
Right, but there's also, the family has been coming in from all over the world to be here for his funeral services. But we, I guess it was a time when we, as a commissioner's court and as a county, celebrated things for kids all across the county. We, on Friday, unveiled, did a unveiling of our Boys and Girls Club in Santa Rosa. We had really successful event. And we had all the members of or most of the members of the City Commission and School Board there in order for us to kick off our construction project for the Boys and Girls Club. Saturday, we had the ribbon cutting and for the Teen and Senior Citizen Center in Valle Escondido, Villahermosa, beautiful building that's going to, it's all about kids. The youth center is going to be a center to have kids gather there after school in the summer to participate in youth activities. There's going to be computers there. Hopefully someday we can put a family learning center there, Commissioner. I think it would be really good if we could. There's also adjacent to that a Head Start program for kids that Head Start will have a grand opening there in the next few weeks. And then to the right of the facility is a women, infants, and children program where nutritional programs for our children are set up there to serve 18 or 20 colonias that surround that center next to a park that we have there as well. So, and then the Friday before that, we had and Edna was there with us. It was Saturday of a week ago. Last Sunday was the International Day of the Child, and we celebrate all over this hemisphere, and I think it's this hemisphere, but it might be all over the world, the International Day of the Child, just like we celebrate Mother's Day and Father's Day. And what we did was we had a prayer breakfast on the Friday before. We invited every pastor and religious leader in Cameron County to our juvenile boot camp in Cameron County at the Amador Rodriguez boot camp at the Armory. We invited rabbis as well. We invited every religious organization in the county to come and pray for our children. We had about 75 members of the religious community show up at the boot camp. Our boot camp cadets they played a very active role. They helped as ushers at the event. They presented the colors, and they also spoke about their experiences at the boot camp. We had a cadet that spoke about how he was, what was going on with his life at the boot camp presently, and then we had another cadet who spoke about how the boot camp had made a difference in his life. And then we introduced to the pastors a faith-based mentoring program that we are putting together here in Cameron County. We've submitted an application to the United States Justice Department for funding, for $500,000 worth of funding, where under this faith-based mentoring program, we will take our juvenile probation department, or juvenile justice department is what we call it now, and have the juvenile justice department have a coordinator who will work with the probation officers and the counselors of the probation department, who will in turn counsel with juveniles who have gone into the system, either because they are on probation, or they've been detained, or they've been placed in the boot camp, or they've come out of TYC, or they're in the JJP program, they've been expelled and they're in the JJP program. And these kids, when they're released back to their homes, will have the ability to be connected to this faith-based mentoring program, which will be composed of mentors coming out of 10 or more different religious communities in Cameron County. And we're asking, we have a kind of a model that we're flexible on, but we'll have 10 churches or synagogues that will have 10 mentors, more or less, more than 10, less than 10, and these mentors will be trained through the University of Texas at Brownsville. They will receive a certificate, and then the mentors will then be hooked up on a voluntary basis with these kids that are out in the community needing help. It'll be something like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, where these mentors will help these children on anything they need, whether it's, you know, someone to talk to, someone to counsel with them, someone to take them to the movies, someone to help them if they're having problems at home. You know, these kids don't have some of these kids come out of detention. My wife's told me that they come out of detention, like Esperanza Home for Boys, and these kids don't have anywhere to go. There's not a parent in the house, or a responsible parent in the house, or parents in prison. The other parent has got problems, or they go back to a neighborhood where they're just influenced by negative factors, and they just have nowhere to turn. And we're hoping that these mentors, on a one-to-one basis, will help these kids for a year, help them deal with some of their issues. That, you know, what I have found is that the religious community wants to participate in helping kids out, and they're set up to do this. And, you know, sometimes we get kind of concerned about the separation in church, overly concerned about the separation of church and state doctrine, but I just don't see that there's anything wrong if you have members of our religious community wanting to help and assist our troubled youth. We don't have enough resources in our juvenile probation department to be able to help these kids. I mean, our probation officers have 60 to 1 officer to 60 kids or more that they have to supervise when you've got kids that are troubled with serious drug and alcohol problems at home, you know, emotional problems. There's no way that a juvenile probation officer can deal with that many kids successfully, and the kids are set up to fail under the current system. So what we want to do is get the faith-based community and come in and help us with these troubled youth. And the impression I got on that day and throughout the time that I've been working on this program with my staff and some of the members of the faith-based community is that the religious community wants to get involved in this. So that was our initiation, and it was very successful. We're going to be doing follow-up. We've submitted our application. We should be finding out pretty soon whether or not we're successful on that. In the meantime, we want to move forward with the project, and we believe it'll be a model for the state, if not the nation, on how you can marry the probation juvenile justice program with the faith-based community to help our kids out. And we hope that this will help turn around a lot of kids. I've been in the criminal justice system for over 20 years at every stage, and I just haven't ever found a situation where people who become spiritual are in any way negatively affected by becoming spiritual when they're having problems. It always works the other way around. And so even though this faith-based mentoring has to occur in a non-religious manner, what happens later on is really up to the child and whether or not he decides that he wants to participate in any spiritual programs that are involved with that particular mentor or that church from which that mentor comes from. But the bottom line is that it gives us volunteers coming out of the churches who want to help our kids. We were there, and I thought, it was something that looked like it could help us out.
Well, I think there's mentoring programs have been in existence, but the key is how they're implemented. And I think that this program has enough structure, and with the involvement of the people that were there that are already dedicated to helping the youth, I think that it'll be successful.
So it was a week of the child, and we lost a good man that served our children for many, many years, and hopefully the model that he left for our community is a model that will be picked up by members of this community from here on, and look to him for inspiration to help our kids, because that's what it's all about, our kids. If we can work to ensure that our kids have a better chance to survive. I remember one of the pastors put it the best. Pastor Barry Jackson said, he said, it's not like it was in the 1950s when we grew up, when the worst kind of offense that you committed was chewing gum in the classroom. It is different, you know. Today, our kids are being bombarded by influences, negative from all over the place, and it's real hard for them to make it. And we really need to make sure that we focus on our kids and help them, and make sure that they've got a chance to survive this difficult life that they are now presented with, a life that we had it difficult in a different way. We had it difficult economically, you know, our parents, our families were poor, and it was a struggle to make it for that. That's hard, but you know, we were able to get past that. They've got they've got that, plus added to that, all these negative influences. And so, you know, we just need to always have that in mind and focus on our children, and make sure that we as community leaders are working to give our kids that chance to make it in this world. Okay, do we have anybody here that signed up on the public comment?
Somebody requested.
Yes, she did.
Oh, yes. One, just one? Sorry, where are they? Yes, Sylvia Elizabeth Cholik?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, my 3 minutes. I brought some documents to you. This pertains to my being in your jail facility. Talk about chaos. Anyway, I'd like to hand these out to you. I was told by the county clerk that I may do that at this time, so I'm going to. I hope I'm not arrested.
There seems to be no law enforcement people.
law enforcement people in this room right now.
Well, I said that to Judge Hayden, and he left too, but Judge Suckler, I don't know. She's not sick. The first two pertain to my recent arrest and lack of medical treatment. This is just an incidental injury, which is seems to be very good when I'm arrested. That's French for pattern.
It's okay.
Some type of miscalculation. The reason I've given you, this is the first time I guess anyone has 3 minutes. That's the first time that I've given pieces of my medical record to anyone. It's relating to a letter that I asked Dr. Schenkenberg to write for me pertaining to my fibroid tumors, which is why I almost died in your jail. Valley Baptist Hospital has known about these tumors, I guess, for 15 years, whatever. But for some reason, this document is not, I'm the only one with this document from Dr. Schenkenberg. It's not in any of my medical records. We'll get to that. To digress one moment as to what I get handed out to you, since I've been ill and because of the price of gas, I really believe it would be extremely helpful for people. You're talking a lot about children. But there's people of a lot of different ages, I'm almost 60, who may like, and I have wanted to make statements to this commission before, but it would be more convenient for me to write something, maybe a paragraph, and you designate a reader so that we don't have to spend the gas, spend the time to come down here with all everyone has many aspects to their lives, but I think that would be important rather than having to appear here in person. just before, whenever Mr. Hinojosa was speaking, or someone spoke about Mrs. Tamayo's sister being ill, and I'm certainly have feelings about that, and I'm very, very sorry, because I know I've taken care of a terminally ill patient for 14, 15 years, and then there was my brother, my grandmother, my grandfather. But I can tell you, being deathly ill in your jail with no hope of medical treatment, and you speak of spirituality, I can tell you I was visited by God because I think that's the only thing that got me through it. What happened, of course, is I was complaining about the tumors and not being able to urinate or defecate from the get-go. I never saw a doctor. What I did see is somehow or another you allowed Valley Baptist Hospital personnel to come into your jail, and they would give me a catheter, which I needed to survive, only if I signed a document in regards to, number one, all of my medical records at South Texas Cancer Center. The record you have right now, South Texas Cancer Center does not have that. So I guess that's all fraud. But at any rate, for some reason, your personnel at the jail told me I would not get medical treatment unless I signed the documents as Valley Baptist Hospital nurse had written down. And I don't know why they wrote it very, very carefully. What they wanted from me pertained to all of my records from South Texas Cancer Center, Dr. Schenkenberg, and at this point in time, I don't have it written down exactly, but what's strange about that is that they could have just forced me to sign a blank sheet of paper. I'm puzzled as to why it was so clear. And quite frankly, there were injections they were giving me to increase my fluid retention. So I didn't know if, either way, I was going to die. And when I got out of jail, eventually, I did get catheterized. I had retained over 8 pounds of water because the nurse insisted on weighing me. I didn't care about how much weight, but she seemed, so I've lost about, I guess, 20, maybe 18 pounds, considering the potassium loss and other health issues that resulted. So what you have in front of you is something that Valley Baptist Hospital seemed to want me to sign over, and pressured me to the point of, as I said, I was deathly ill, because if I didn't have the catheter, my bladder would burst. So for some reason, they want that. So I'm giving it to you. I'm also giving it to others, but we'll start with you. And the other document pertains to, I think I'm running out of time. The other document pertains to the day that I was arrested. Laredo National Bank, I had made out a $25,000 cashier's check, which is the same as cash, and they were the ones that arrested me. And subsequently, I mentioned to you I was deathly ill in your jail, and my vehicle was also impounded. Strangely enough, there were oranges in the front seat of the vehicle, and the police took the oranges out. They made the person who towed the car take the oranges out. Believe me, it was not for my benefit. It was for the benefit of whoever was going to confiscate my car, because it's paid for. At any rate, I want to just say the first thing about, I have tried to contact some of you before about a lot of these issues from the past 6.5 years, from when the city of Harlingen and their lawyers began the process to confiscate and condemn my properties and take my large estate that I was to be inherited when I inherited, supposedly. I haven't really had much use of that money. But it does seem to me as though, one time I've heard you, in particular, Judge Hinojosa, say you don't want to be sued personally. It would seem to me the best thing to do is investigate crime. It doesn't matter if they're the district attorney. It doesn't matter who's doing the crime. It doesn't matter if it's Wayne Ball and Campbell. Because the very same people who have initiated in trying to steal my estate have just been advanced through the ranks. Now they're head of your jail. Hence, I could be there with impunity. I mean, they could have their total say over my habeas corpus, over my body at that time. And I really would like to talk to one of the commissioners, make an appointment at some time for someone to investigate the identity theft on all my accounts, which are under fraudulent socials. In other words, my police records, my medical records, except for this document that you have that I know of. My police records, my medical records, my financial records are all fraud. But there's an individual that I know, the district attorney in this county. I've talked to the prosecutor in Hidalgo County. I don't think they're trying to do this, but there's a person who's stolen my mail. That's a federal crime. I want to speak to someone about that, make an appointment by phone or some other fashion if I could. I would appreciate that.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, before we get into item number 2, let me, how long is your presentation?
Is there someone else?
Huh?
There was another
Yeah.
public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Antonio Contreras? Sorry.
My name is Antonio Contreras, and I'm representing Treasures in the Faith. And I want to thank you personally and Mr. Benavides for attending the second annual Kids Awareness out at it's in the Riverside Park. And as you were speaking of issues of children and exposure to drugs and negative factors, it's something that's very much needed here in our communities. And Pastor Willie was not able to be here because of his health. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time of your busy schedules. And a young man by the name of David Sauceda who wanted to have a couple of words, if you would be as kind as to hear him out briefly.
Come on up, David. Good looking guy.
Well, I would like to thank Pete Benavides for attending your time on the second annual festival, and to our because Judge, you have mentioned what is jail like, and you mentioned how your parents know and stuff, and adults are older than children, so you have more experience. But from what I've been seeing at school, I see little kids doing bad stuff because of the 5th graders. They're like throwing papers, saying bad words, and all that. So you have mentioned the good consequences and the bad consequences. That's one thing you judge and the county commissioner have said. And I'd like to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's Mr. Garcia has this little event. I had never seen this park before.
You know that
Did you build this park?
Yes, I did.
That's a really nice
that
park.
I was raised right across the railroad from there. You could see my house where we were sitting. And I didn't know it was there, you know.
I saw old graffiti with your name there.
All the trees. Pete loves.
Yeah.
We're not going
The
to
orange
Don't
trees
say
were all
Sophie.
picked.
say Sophie though.
Pero I had a lot of fun talking to the youngsters there because, they were playing in the park where I used to play, but it wasn't a park yet. It was so. And I remember when we moved to that area that we were teenagers and 14 years old, 13 years old, and at night, my mother was a single parent, so we were 5 boys and 1 girl, and at night you could actually hear the shoveling of things going on in that that area was treated, and so we all ended up sleeping with my mom the first night. It was like, But it was a scary area, but it's cleaned up, and I love the park. It's real pretty.
Nice part.
Yeah, real
I wanted to
pretty.
congratulate you, Commissioner Wood, that y'all had the vision to build that park, because it's, you can tell it used to be something that wasn't very nice, because
Right next to the
it was
railroad.
right next to the railroad tracks. And what they did was, and this is a little model that we need to look at, they did they put the fence, they fenced it around, they left the original, mesquites and ebanos, and real nice. And then they put a little walking trail, and I saw people running there, and then they put a playground there. And it's just a real nice, low-maintenance park.
Lots of nice trees.
Right in the middle of the barrio, just a nice place, and the trees, and I was impressed. And then I was impressed with what Mr. Garcia was doing there with the kids, where he brings in the kids and he talks to them about drugs, and he experienced the hard life, and it's funny that right before he had the one last year, he was in a motorcycle accident, and he's paralyzed from the neck down, and he still can use his hands a little bit, barely, but he's out there plugging for our kids, and I was just real impressed, and the
Great
kids were
job,
great.
great job.
It's something we need to, as a community, not only support, but use that as a model throughout Cameron County. So anyway,
Let me say
congratulations.
this, Judge. I know that it was mentioned that the train still goes by there. When we first moved there, the train would go and it sound the horn right in our window there. But I got out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? But you actually get used to it after a while. You wouldn't hear the train. So we can adjust to any kind of stuff. It was horrible at first, but then.
I wanted to make sure I got the young man's name. What was your name, hijo?
David?
David Salceda. David, what
Smart,
school do you go
smart
to,
kid.
David? La Skinner.
That's my school, yeah.
That's your old school,
Yeah,
right?
oh my.
Okay, well, now you know, Thursday night, watch TV. If your parents let you stay up a little bit late at 10 o'clock, you're gonna come out on TV, okay? All right.
Thank
Okay.
you for being here.
Thank you for being here. All right, okay, are we ready on the presentation for Susana Marchand? All right. Well, again, we come to that portion in our agenda that we enjoy most. And I wanted to have it's a special thing for me too, okay? Because the first few years of my life as a lawyer, I spent working for migrant farm workers all across the United States. And I know what it is to do what you've been doing most of your life in ensuring that our farm workers receive the support that they need. They live a difficult life. I think probably most of us here, our parents or relatives were either farm workers or migrant farm workers at one time or another. I know my mom used to migrate up to the Panhandle, and I remember she used to say that they used to have the labor camp right next to the matanza, where they had the slaughterhouse, and that our family would see them throwing away all the tripas and the cabezas and the estómagos, and they send a little committee over there to talk to them and say, hey, give that to us because, we eat that. And they give it to them and they have this big fiesta, after that, and then they finally figured out that our folks were eating that stuff, and then they started selling it to them. But it's a hard life that our migrant farm workers live, but it's a working life. They really, struggle to make for their families. They travel all over the country, sometimes in an old car, barely have enough gas to make it to the state where they're going to work. Sometimes they land at the state where they're going to be at, and they get there and there's no work, or the labor camp is in terrible condition, or their kids would get there during the school year, and their kids would not have a place to go to school because they didn't treat them right. And it's just the most difficult life. I remember Robert Kennedy said during the hearing when he was a United States Senator, he said, because there was a person that came up and said that these people didn't like to work, and why were you giving them all these handouts? And Robert Kennedy, during the committee, said, You know, when a man takes his family and puts them in an old car and travels sometimes up to 2,000 miles to find a job so that he can support his family, you cannot tell me that this man lacks incentive to work. And that's the life that they live, and we have a responsibility in our community to help them and to do everything possible to make their life better, to make sure that they're recognized for what they do for our country, because there are other people that pick the crops that you see at the HEB and the Opus supermarket when you go buy groceries. If it weren't for them, you know, we wouldn't be able to do that. And we have to recognize their work, but we also have to recognize that they need our help sometimes. And when someone like Ms. Marchand does this, you know, we need to recognize you. So the resolution is consideration and adoption of a resolution recognizing Ms. Susana Marchand on the occasion of her selection for the LUPE Award, Lupe Award. Whereas the Lupe Award is a national award presented by the Midwest Association of Farm Organizations in recognition of outstanding work on behalf of migrant and seasonal farm workers. And whereas Ms. Marchand received this recognition, the title of which stands for Leadership, Unity, Professionalism, and Excellence, in recognition of her tireless and extensive efforts on behalf of agricultural workers in Cameron County. And whereas the pattern of involvement that led to Ms. Marchand's selection for this award began early in her life when she traveled with her parents to aid in their work as migrant farm workers. And whereas Ms. Marchand's commitment to helping others has continued into her professional career, which she has dedicated to serving migrants, most notably through employment training, job placement, and migrant health fairs. And whereas Ms. Marchand's many friends also know that having attended Brownsville Public Schools and Texas Southwest College, she is a strong advocate of education and a supporter of our local schools. And whereas as a native and lifelong resident of Brownsville, and as a mother of 2 sons and 2 stepdaughters, Ms. Marchand's family life also reflects the dedication to others and hard work that characterize her professional career. And whereas the Cameron County Commissioners Court wishes to recognize Ms. Susana Marchand on the occasion of her selection for the Lupe Award, now therefore be it resolved that the Cameron County Commissioners Court hereby recognizes Ms. Susana Marchand on the occasion of her selection for the Lupe Award, approved the 3rd day of May 2006, signed unanimously by the Cameron County. But your boss, Frank Castellano, was the executive director of National Association of Farm Organizations in Washington, D.C., of which I worked very closely with him when I was in the Migrant Legal Action Program. And he was implemented some of these programs that you are working on. You were a little girl.
Yeah.
Migrating at that time. Would you like to say some words?
I'd just like to say thank you to Judge Hinojosa and the commissioners for this resolution and recognizing the hard work, not only that I do, but everyone that works in migrant organizations, assisting migrants in employment and training, supportive services. And I'm very honored to be recognized here today, and I thank you very much, and hopefully we will all continue to work hard and bring laws to protect our migrant farm workers. Thank you.
Thank you. It's truly God's work when you work to help this community. So, okay. Presentation by Lineberger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson Law Firm regarding delinquent property tax report.
Judge, this is our quarterly report from the law firm. They'll be giving you a more concise report, but for your information, on the current taxes, out of the 41.5 million that we're supposed to collect by September 30th, we've collected 37 million, which is 89%, close to 1% compared to last year. That's on current, and I know Javier will be giving you a report on the budget, so he'll have more numbers to give you. And for the delinquency, out of the 6.3 million, we've collected 1.4 million. That's 22.9%. That's close to 3.7% over last year's delinquent tax collection. So that's on delinquency. But to give you a more concise report, I'll hand it over to Rick Peña from the law firm.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I'm Rick Peña here on behalf of Lambert Argogan, along with Managing Attorney Lucy Canales and Attorney John Guevara, along with Office Manager Jorge Saldaña. I'm going to give you a short version of the taxes. I know you enjoy this so much. You're all familiar with our pre-litigation collection efforts. Our mail program is continuing. Just want to highlight 2 points. The May resolution letter, which informs taxpayers of the additional penalty and interest starting in July, has already gone out, so they should be receiving those letters as we speak. $39,000. We obtained 130 judgments for $358,000. We currently have 74 cases ready for trial to foreclose on $277,000. Take judgment, excuse me, not foreclose. And we have pending petitions of 464 lawsuits seeking to collect $1.1 million. As Mr. Izaguirre said, we highlighted right now, we're a little over 22% collection rate for this year. That's a little 1.3 million. Last year at the same time, we're at 18.65%, so that's a little over 3.5 increase, which is good. We're doing, this is one of our higher collection rates at this point in the last 3-4 years. We conducted 2 tax sales.
When you give us the amount, are you including the interest and penalties in that amount, or just?
That's just base.
Base, okay.
Yeah, that's just that's the base, so you'll,
okay. Thank you.
Real money that's coming into the coffers.
What do you credit it to that there's been this improvement, which I'm happy to see?
Last year, this is what we did from last summer. Because with last summer, We did over 1,000 property inspections the last 4 months of the year, and this is just, we're catching up. People, and lawsuits, we're, a little both. Because mail-outs keep on going, but it's really the on-site inspections and the lawsuits, I believe, and a little both. And I think just people are getting a little bit, I wouldn't say afraid, but they're realizing that we're out there trying to collect, and so they're
Presence is being noticed.
The presence, yes, the presence. We did do 2 property tax sales, which have been, we've had more interest in. We sold 15 properties, 10 were struck off. That is, no bids were given by anybody. 3 were paid before, and we had to pull 9 because of bankruptcies and deferrals filed at the last minute. So from our work plan for the rest of the fiscal year is to conduct another 600 property inspections, file 100 new lawsuits, continue monitoring our bankruptcy accounts for accounts that when they come out of bankruptcy, so we can continue our collection efforts, reduce 75 lawsuits to judgment, continue our mail program in the months of July, August, and September, and we have 2 property tax sales scheduled for the month of June and August. And that is all.
Okay, any other questions?
How many people do you have doing on-site visits?
Right now, we have 2 full-time on-site inspectors, in addition to our 4 area managers. So at any point, we have up to 6 doing on-site inspections, especially in the summer. In the summer, we have 6 doing. They do 6. We have 6 because that's the heavy months, the months of July, August, and September, to meet your collection goals for your current delinquent taxes.
I like the fact that they haven't gotten any calls from, I know that collecting taxes is a must, but you found a way to ask for the money gently, nicely, and I like that, versus,
We try, your Commissioner, because it's a difficult task.
I'm glad you put humans in front before anything else, so I'm glad you're doing that, because I remember coming in the first year that I was here, that was a big problem. That has improved tremendously.
One of the things that I think will help a little bit also is Tony is recommending that we set up an office here at the courthouse for the tax collection firm. So, and I think that's a good idea, because that way, when there's problems, instead of them having to travel all the way over there to 802 and finding the offices, which I find hard to find. They can just come here down the hallway. We're looking at putting them right where the Veterans Office is at, moving the Veterans Office over to where the emergency management is today, and that I think is going to work out pretty good and that's going to happen like within the next 60 days. I think that'll help a lot in terms of increasing our collection efforts, because it'll be much more user-friendly.
I think so. I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Peña. Do you have a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Presentation of mid-year budget review. Can you hold off on that just for a second? I'm going to go through the agenda real quick, and then we'll come back to that, okay? All right, budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary schedules. Any questions, concerns, comments, complaints?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Benavides. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Do you have anything?
Any
Any
further
additions or
discussion?
no?
Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Minutes, May 3rd. You all ready for that?
I am.
Do you hear a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Wood. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Claims. There's some additional claims that we've got. Is there any additional claims beyond that? No?
Move to approve that. Second. Yes.
Just hand it in.
Motion to approve. I didn't have any.
Second.
Okay. Motion, who made the motion?
I did.
Motion by Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the motion carries. 8, consideration and authorization to exempt the contracting and/or hiring of a jail doctor, either temporary or permanent, from the Texas County Purchasing Act. Are we going to come back to that after executive session?
Yeah. Yes,
All right.
please.
9, consideration and possible action regarding the conversion of the county warehouse in Olmito to serve as a minimum security housing facility for nonviolent offenders in the Cameron County Detention System. I put this on the agenda. I've been talking to the sheriff. If you can come up, Sheriff. on this issue. I mentioned it to y'all last week. We are full, and in fact, we are more than full. We need to do something about it. We have been looking at the possibility of expanding jail facilities in Cameron County for the last few months, but that's a long-range project. Well, it's not a long-range project in the sense that it's going to take us a long time to get started. It's a long-range project in the sense that it takes a long time to construct permanent maximum security facilities in Cameron County. The sheriff we have in Cameron County a large population of minimum security inmates. Minimum security inmates would be inmates that would fall in the following categories. One, people who are in on misdemeanors, nonviolent offenses, petty theft, that sort of crime. We have inmates that are in the jail on nonviolent felonies that are minimum security. That would be the inmates would be classified as minimum security inmates. We have inmates that are in on child support violations, and then we have inmates that are in on blue warrants on technical violations of parole. They didn't show up to a drug counseling meeting or something like that, where they haven't committed an offense, but blue warrant has been issued, and we're mandated to hold those people under state law. Those people are traditionally placed in trustee positions. They've got free access in and out of the jail. They're not a threat in the sense that they could pose a danger to the public. Yet they're using maximum security beds at our facilities. And so what the sheriff's been doing is looking at the possibility of putting in a minimum security facility where we can house these inmates, much like a boot camp. And we were looking at converting the warehouse into a vehicle maintenance facility when we had enough bond money to do it, but we just used up all our bond money because the cost for the construction of several of our programs has just gone up because of rising construction costs, including increased cost for the Benio Ochoa Annex in Port Isabel, and now the Harlingen Annex in Harlingen. So the money's gone for that kind of construction. So I visited with the sheriff last week about the possibility of converting our warehouse into this kind of a camp, basically like a camp, a facility to house these minimum security facilities. He's looked at, along with Mike Leonard, at these kinds of facilities across the state of Texas, and I think he's satisfied that they'll meet our needs. And Sheriff, I know I've talked a lot, but I thought I'd do it real quick.
That's fine, Judge. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. There's no question. In addition to what the judge specifically stated right now, we have been talking for quite a while because we wanted to convert that particular facility into a jail. First of all, it's already there. We do what is commonly known is just a cage inside, which we're talking about in essence time. We can start doing that. Perhaps we can do it within, hopefully within a 10-month period.
From beginning to finish.
From beginning to finish, okay? The investment that county will put into it will probably be returned back in a period of about, imagine, within a year or better. So, on the other hand, that can be converted into what is a permanent facilities. Mike and I and Chief Guard Reina, we took a quick trip down to Austin about 2 weeks ago. We sat down with Texas Commission on Jail Standards, and they gave us the go-ahead that it could be converted, and there's no problem at all. Plus, right now, time is of the essence. I need it right now. We are at capacity, and there's nothing else we can do except, either release some of these prisoners, or I have the authority to send out prisoners somewhere else and have them housed somewhere else, and then the county's going to have to spend that kind of money to house them at any place, okay? So the other thing that it creates a problem for us.
Are the prisoners that you're talking about county prisoners or federal prisoners?
Well, mostly are state prisoners.
I know that I read somewhere that we were under a state order on how many prisoners we have in our jails? Was there something issued to us as a county in regards to the numbers?
There's been a remedial order since 2003 on different items.
Okay.
And that is one of the items that has been taken care of. Okay, Commissioner?
Okay.
That we're up to date as far as that is concerned. Well, what happens, a lot of
We
people.
were forced to
We were
reduce
forced.
our
Federal.
federal inmate population.
Okay.
And we lost the revenue in doing so.
Well, but we know what our capacity is, right? I mean, we have, what's the capacity of the facilities that we have now?
1,390.
1,000. And we know we have to have 10% available at all times, right?
That's right.
So that means that we should not go over 1,200, more or less.
Right. However, the way it works sometimes, Commissioners, what the Texas Commission Jail Standard counts is when we have somebody that is being processed. When you bring a prisoner from Harlingen or Brownsville, well, it takes us quite a while to classify those prisoners. In the meantime, they're in our jail facilities, but they're there on a temporary basis. And then by Monday or Tuesday, we release these prisoners, we're back to what it is. However, they don't look at it from that point of view. They think that we don't have time to classify those people. It's just time consuming. The other thing is, before we classify this, that is one of the reasons that we would like to have a physician there at all times, is because he can we got to classify them by the crime, they classify by health, and if we don't have somebody that can take care of those people there, we got to keep them right there, what is known as a holding cell. And those are add up to the numbers. They don't take that into consideration that they're just temporary prisoners. So it creates a problem for us. And you're right, we have to have 139 empty beds. And I do not agree to that extent because it costs the county about $30,000 per bed to build. And you're 139 beds vacant at all times. I think it's a little too many, but nevertheless, we try to follow it.
That's not a matter of choice, though.
No, that's not
It's
a choice.
law.
We do it, and we do it. It's just that sometimes, because we're pro-law enforcement, we allow other agents to bring in, and then we process the prisoners, and that's just the way it is. I got to accept it through the county. So, but at the present time, we're up to date as far as I'm concerned, and we did that right away.
Sure. You mentioned also that a lot of our prisoners are state prisoners.
Yes, sir.
Isn't the state, under their guidelines, aren't they supposed to pick up those prisoners? And I realize that the prisons are full. They're crowded. So I'm assuming that what's happening, instead of them picking up their prisoners, they're leaving them here for longer periods of time. Is that part of our problem?
Well, sometimes it is, okay. Once an individual has been convicted, he's got 45 days to pick them up. Sometimes they don't. And yes, they have to wait until there's space somewhere else to take them wherever they need to be taken. The other thing is, like the judge mentioned, there are blue warrants. People who don't follow the rules and regulations, we pick them up, we have to keep them there. They can be trustees, but we have them there and we have to take them in, period.
This is the irony of this whole thing. I mean, let's just lay the cards out on the table since you're raising this issue. We're being asked to house people on blue warrants, for example, on technical violations.
Who asked us to do that?
The state mandates that we
Okay,
do.
that's a state mandate.
That's a state unfunded mandate.
And if they don't pick up these that are, ready to go, that's another.
They're allowed to stay in our jail on a technical violation for what, I think 60 days?
Yes.
For up to 60 days. We don't get a penny.
We don't get
We don't
reimbursed.
get a penny on those inmates. What happens is they schedule these hearings, they stay in our jail for 60 days, and after they get their hearing, once they're adjudicated, after 60 days, they have to pay us. But if they don't schedule a hearing for a revocation, and then they finally schedule the hearing and revoke them, after that period of time is when we have to keep them during all this period of time, and we end up holding the bag for paying the money on it. That's one. We don't get paid. We can have a paper-ready inmate. Judge Murray can sentence a guy to 10 years in the penitentiary. On that same day, Adela will hand the paperwork to the sheriff's department, and on that same day, they can call a chain and at TDCJ and say, come pick up this inmate. They don't have to pick up this inmate for 45 days. And then for those 45 days, we pay. Now, They're making, these are unfunded mandates. We pay all, we hold on, it costs us, $40 a day to house these guys, and we don't have nothing to do with them. They've been sentenced to prison, or they're on a warrant from the state, on the blue warrants. We don't have anything to do with them, yet we're paying for them. The same state is telling us that they want to keep 139 beds empty every day, even though we don't need them for classification purposes. We can classify full. That's we were told we were 150 people over our capacity, and we have 139 beds empty. That's ridiculous. I mean, it really is ridiculous. So even though the state is working with us, and I don't want to criticize the State Jail Standards Commission because they're just trying to do their job, but we're placed in a catch-22 situation because we're asked to house all these inmates that the state should be housing, but then they get after us because we don't have.
Who has control of disposition of a blue warrant? What judge?
Probate? No judge.
No judge.
It's a parole officer who
parole
sends
officer.
the information up to the state attorney general, and then they send us, they call it blue warrant, just a warrant to pick up these people who have not complied with what was set up and the parole.
We didn't used to have to house them.
But we do now.
Before we built Carrizales Rucker, we didn't have to house them. And now we have to house them because we have Carrizales Rucker because they say we have enough capacity, but then they nail us because they say we're full.
Well, why don't we request to not house blue warrant?
Exemption from housing.
An exemption from housing them.
The only way that we got the exemption last time was because we got it through a court order from a federal judge.
Maybe we need to go to court again.
I mean,
Yeah, find a way.
I mean, we're not talking about criminals that, are perpetrators to children or murderers.
Sometimes they are, but.
Well, I mean, I hear there are technical issues, not necessarily hardcore criminals.
Well, that's true.
Well, let me ask you, Sheriff, do you screen out these people that are going to go there, that are supposedly nonviolent prisoners? Do you go back further than the present crime? I mean, of whatever it is, didn't pay the child support or whatever. Do you go further back to check to make sure that these guys don't have any other offense that's pretty harsh? What I'm trying to say is that when you put them into this shell there, and I've been there, it's not real strong, right? This warehouse that we're talking about. Are you going to reinforce it a lot, or I don't know? I didn't hear you.
It'll actually be reinforced to a medium security facility.
Actually, what you do is build a cage inside the place. It's just like a jail. Okay, it got bars all the way around, about 10 feet high, and then you have mesh wire. We've visited about 3 or 4 of those, Mike, throughout the state, and I think this is a better facility than what we've seen over there somewhere else.
The thing is that you can build it for half the price. It costs you probably today $40,000 a bed today to build a jail. We can build this for half that price. We can probably build the 400-bed facility for about $5 million is what I'm thinking, and house about 400 inmates in there. And that'll help us in a big way, because what it does is it frees up those 400 beds. We can use those either.
More blue warrants and prisoners that haven't been.
Can you give me an
picked up.
example
When
of
you
a
said
technical
cage.
thing? I mean, I hear blue warrants and I still don't know what.
Blue
They're on
warrant.
parole. They're on parole. They have already been convicted. They've been there for 3 years, what have you. They go before the parole board. They're allowed to come back because they behave themselves over there. But there's some guidelines that are set when this individual has to adhere to.
Like to report to a parole
Report to the parole
officer.
officer, get a job.
counseling.
Do not go for counseling. Do not go to the bars. Do not get into fights. If things of that nature. Pay a certain amount of money on a monthly basis. Sometimes they fail to do that, so they send it. It's nothing but a warrant. The reason it's called blue because it has light blue, but it's just a warrant. And they say, pick up this guy because he failed to comply with the parole's guidelines.
And they set up a parole hearing to revoke the parole or not, and they're entitled to due process. So
They have a couple of hearings. They have a preliminary hearing, and then they have a full hearing,
And in the interim, perhaps say it was a DWI that they would go lower for. We still have to wait for that charge to get adjudicated and resolved. So they could be here 60 days for the parole hearing, and then another 60 days to go to court and take care of the issue of what they were charged for.
So what you're saying is that this particular population is the one that during that transition period messed up.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, that, to put it simply.
Well, my
But we
next
have to
question to
have-
follow up with you, Edna, is how many blue warrant prisoners do we have in jail today?
I gave that report to Jared yesterday.
We gotta, I think we need to kind of get in the flow of reports.
Sure.
Because I really don't like to read in the paper that, that the jail commission of whatever says that we're not properly doing something, I mean, I'd like to be at least somehow informed of that,
We can copy the court.
Just email us or something.
Well, he did email us.
Yeah.
You did email this information.
Friday.
remember, and I responded to you.
There's a report that we do to the jail standards on a monthly basis, that we're required to do. And I can make sure that the court gets it on.
Like how many blue warrant reports do we have last month?
It'll say right now, let's see, we have, it breaks it down, like bench warrants, we have 20, that's in-state. Parole violators with blue warrants, 26 males and 1 female. Parole violators with a new charge, we have 33. So those will eventually turn into blue warrants once parole gets over here.
Close to 60.
Like 50 or so.
So let's say that this, let's say that this construction takes place, and if I'm correct, to analyze this, there's 2 things that'll happen if we go ahead with the warehouse. 1, you're saving money. Number 2, you're saving time.
Right.
Because it's not going to take us long to get it up to par.
That's right, Commissioner.
And
So
three,
those are the two
eventually-
main
For
issues.
itself in a year.
2 main issues. And eventually, we can always use it for, it can be made what is known as a permanent facility. So it's not a problem at all. It's just the time element that we're concerned here.
And
Time is
what-
of the essence.
And what did you say the capacity would be after it's done?
About 400.
They're looking at a 400.
Have we visited with the city of Brownsville, since it's within their jurisdiction, of whether we can do that or not with that building? I mean, has anybody,
No, we usually don't have too many problems with the city of Brownsville. We work with them as long as we show them the plans. The more technicality would be the tax commission jet standards.
We'll make it a historical jail.
Well, we can do that too.
I mean, I know that we've had a few issues, with some of those buildings in trying to open them.
It would be part of the process. The jail standards should, once the engineer or the architects develop the plan, of course, we have to make sure that all the municipalities and all the governing agencies and such, utility companies, fire department, everyone's on board before we get to the next phase.
Oh, man, I have one more question.
Sure.
Let's just say that this takes place and it's finished, and you're telling me that there's a 400 capacity. Let's say in 10 months, you just say it would take about 10 months to get it.
4 months for design and 6 months for construction.
That's what I figured, and we talked
Overall,
to somebody.
overall.
Approximately, yes, Commissioner.
And the next day, can you give me an idea of the number that you would be able to transfer in there? Based on past
400.
history?
400 people can be transported over there.
No, I know that you have the capacity.
Right.
But how many bodies do you anticipate would be ready to be transferred?
Fit the criteria
Mike,
to go
if-
into that
if
type
I'm
of
correct,
facility.
about the same amount.
We could, well, if we wanted to.
First of all, if we were to take let's say we take one section that becomes a female. We have, 60, 70 females. So 70 females can be transferred right then and there, okay? Then we have some of these other people that have been because they didn't pay the child support. It fluctuates, but I say another 50 to 60, Mike. So you right then and there, you're looking at 100. And then there are other that are here because of DWIs or what is known as a Class B or Class A misdemeanor, which are not your violent offenders. Those can be transferred over there.
So let's say that you would immediately fill it to, let's say, 50% capacity?
We
better.
can do 100% capacity and free up 400 maximum security premium beds.
We have enough inmates that fall in the minimum security category to fill it up.
A lot of the inmates that we have here are not your real violent criminals like we hear all the time. People have that concept that everybody's here in jail is a violent criminal. No, we do have them, and we do have special place for them, but a lot of other people can be placed in what is known as minimum security.
And it's a secure facility. I mean, it's, you're not supposed to walk away from it. It'll have a fence, a perimeter fence, it'll have cages, it'll be a jail. I mean, it's not gonna be no country club situation. It's gonna have, it's gonna be, they'll be in there and they're gonna be locked up and.
It's a metal tin building, right?
Yeah, but it's
They'll use
caged
can
in the
openers.
How are the windows?
No, I think that type of cage you're talking about is individual cages, right?
Right.
Okay, are you gonna stack them up on top of it? It's pretty tall.
No.
It's a pretty tall building.
Two-story.
I would like to extend an invitation. I would like to extend an invitation to the court.
Could be done, eh?
Yes. No, I would like to extend an invitation to the court to go out there, so it's kind of hard to paint the picture here without any views. We do have some at the office, but we failed to bring it out here because not being an architect, I didn't want to go out here. But if you take this block right here and you just have bars all the way around with a door right here.
The next question was gonna be, are you
it's
gonna
just
have
a
an
cage.
elevator? No.
No, but certainly I would entertain, the motion that please go by and visit with us and we'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what, Commissioner, somewhere in Denton County, what they had out there is wooden buildings. They're just like the schools. They're little barracks that they just set up out there on the side of the main jail. That's it, and they got about 50
So this
of
would
those.
be even more secure. I just wanted an idea of immediately what would our return would be in our investment. That's what I was trying to determine.
Well, we figured that within a year, we will go ahead and back our investment. And then we could still be able to use it because we're going to use it. Commissioner, from my perspective, just the city of Brownsville, I think within a period of 8 to 10 years, is going to have more population than the city of Corpus Christi. Now, Cameron County and Hidalgo County, both of these two counties combined, are probably the two fastest growing counties in the state. So we're not getting smaller, we're getting bigger and bigger every single day. If you haven't had the opportunity to go by the sheriff's office and the jail, when we first bought over there, or the county bought over there was nothing there. I guarantee you there's over 200 brand new homes over there, and they're building all the way to 511. Plus there's an elementary school, plus the Border Patrol is going to be about a mile and a half from where we're going to be. They're going to build a 50,000 square foot building. Even the city of Brownsville may be decided to move the police department. I'm not saying they will. But I talked to Chief Carlos Garza and what have you, they get property over there. They're just building over there, kickball parks over there, right next to where we are. So all I'm saying is, we gotta be prepared. We should have had this already in place. Unfortunately, realize the lack of money sometimes makes it difficult, but we need to move forward and we need to move as quickly as possible. From my point of view, I certainly appreciate any effort you can do to help us out.
Very good.
And I ask questions because
That's fine,
want to
Commissioner.
be part of the solution.
What?
And I think that it needs to be more than just building jails. I think that if we have to have 139 beds open at all times, that we either ought to seek relief through legislation or through the federal, government, whatever needs to happen.
Well, I think we need to do both. I think we need to go ahead and do and approve this, but also, Commissioner Garza, you're right.
Okay.
I think we need to. So I think that we need to do both, Judge.
Move to approve the item.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion
This
carries.
is to approve the warehouse.
To go
a
forward on
minimum
that
security.
project, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that's
the
what's
next item is we need to hire an architect. We've got, I've got it two ways. One, he gave us the name of the architect that had worked on the warehouses that he's seen. Sheriff, no te vayas.
Oh, right here.
Vente para acá.
Next time, do something contracting.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think that's the same thing. What is 10, Remy?
10 just exempts
Exempt contracting professionals.
the Commissioners Court exempts this contract from the competitive bidding so that you can just directly contract with whoever
Well,
you
we
want.
don't competitive bid for professional services, do we?
Or from doing in RFQs or RFPs. So this allows the court to be able to, go directly with one architect as soon as you all decide to do that. You can bypass the RFP or the RFQ procedure, which is what you usually do when you're
Sure.
using a professional service.
Okay, well, and I put 10 and 11 together because you needed to decide what you want to do. The sheriff's been talking to one architect. is this the Burns and Gill, Sheriff? Is this the Burns and Gill architect that you've been talking to? Is that the name of the firm?
Yes.
That worked on some warehouses out there? We can go with the one architect that's been working on these things. Apparently, he's spoken to the State Jail Standards Commission. They're very familiar with this architect on these kinds of projects, and they know him and they work well with him. Or we can go out for proposals and see if we give other architects an opportunity to bid on, not bid, but to submit proposals to design and design this facility. And then how we're going to construct it, we don't need to make that decision yet. Although I would suggest that we look at a construction manager at risk project so that we can expedite this thing a little quicker. But we don't have to make that decision right now. We just need to decide where we want to go in terms of an architect. If you want to, in order to buy a little bit of time, in order to do a combination of doing a request for proposals now, but at the same time set up a committee and have this committee interview this architect in the meantime, and if you make a decision that you want to go with this one architect, you can. If not, we already have submitted an advertisement for an architect, so we can proceed, simultaneously on both of these avenues and then make a decision after we've gone that route. That might be a way to go. What's your pleasure?
Now, if we went out for proposals, that committee would use the same format, exactly the same format with any other proposals that came along.
Yes, ma'am.
If we go that route, I wouldn't want to give these people, and I don't even know who they are, but just to make sure that things are fair.
So why don't we do this? If we can, let's go ahead and go out for proposals. In the meantime, let's appoint a committee. The committee, let's vote for the exemption on number 10 to allow us the discretion to be able to hire this one firm, but at the same time go out for proposals in case the committee is not satisfied that this person is the right person to go and that they want an opportunity to talk to other people as well. And then we make a decision, in 30 days on what firm we want to hire.
How long does the regular RFQ process take?
How fast can we do this, Mike?
Between 2 weeks or a month.
Well, that'd be the same way.
Okay, well, why don't we just do that then?
We need to do one of two things. We either need to go with what we've got. I wish I'd have had this.
I don't have an answer to that because I don't know what's out there. That's my problem.
We just got these.
Yeah, I just got this, but I look at representative projects and I see that they've done Green Bay type operations is what they call them, right? And they go in and they construct within an existing building a confinement center or a Green Bay center. So they've done this type of work.
We visited that place, and as a matter of fact, yes, sir, we did. And as a matter of fact, they were so happy we did that they're acting. They're building another 1,400 beds to that facility. It's called Green Bay because it used to be a packing company, just a building like we have here. Mm-hmm. And they just did it on a temporary basis. It worked out well. The Texas Community Jail Center approved it, and now they're adding another 1,400 more beds over there.
So this list under relevant project management experience, that means that they did all of these.
Right. Well, this one's they don't have a page, Commissioner Tamayo, but it's like. You see like 3 green pages into it,
Right. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. They have.
Okay, here it is.
What's the square footage size of that warehouse building we're discussing?
Ours here, right here. Is it?
Just do it.
24,000 square feet.
That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And I think it's about 28,000 square feet, Commissioner.
We think we can get 400 beds in that space?
The people there from Burns came out here, and that's what he estimated, and we know we can. Okay. It's a good-sized warehouse, Commissioner.
Yeah, I realize it's a good-sized warehouse, but I'm
and
looking
it's been vacant for 5 years. Gee.
I'm looking at some of the other things they've done, and of course, the other things they've done also have office space and different things that
Well,
we're
one thing
having.
you have to be aware here is that we're close to Carrizales, where we have the medical facilities,
not gonna be
and we have
having-
our kitchen, so we don't need those things. We do need a visiting
It's
place.
just gonna be beds.
Yeah, just the beds and a visiting place, okay, and a visiting for attorneys. So it eliminates several of the things that are not needed.
Well, but even then, it says that out of the 50 projects, most included jails.
He
sorry,
seems to know
Most
what he's
included
doing.
jails.
I mean, I talked
Yeah.
to the guy, but I mean, I think that we need to do due diligence on this thing. Okay, let's do this.
Talking about 70 foot per inmate.
Let's do this. If I can, on number 10, if we can just go forward with that for right now. 10 is consideration authorization to exempt contracting for professional personal service from the County Purchasing Act, specifically the requirements of VTCA Government Code Section 262.023. Do we have to make a certain finding?
You just find that you're just exempting it out. There's an order that I've prepared already for this.
Do I hear a motion
So
on number
moved.
10?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Garza. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. If I can then hear a motion to go out for proposals to hire an architect, and that we appoint a committee composed of Mike, Pete, or whoever out of your construction department you want to place there, the budget officer, my office, and maybe if one of the commissioners wants to be on that committee. Would one of y'all like to be a member of
David
that
should.
committee to take a look at this
David, you want to be
thing?
on it?
No, I want to make a motion that we approve hiring Burns and Gill.
You want to go?
I think that the sheriff has come forth with this project. Time is of essence. I don't think we, and I'm not going to say should waste time, but if we find a finding that we're going to exempt ourselves, the next step is to not waste time and money doing anything. If you feel comfortable with what you saw and you're comfortable with these people, I think we need to move forward on the project.
Absolutely, Commissioner. We visit 3 of the
And
facilities they built, and everybody's happy with it, and he's
And David, let me say, I agree with you, but I just want to ask one more question.
Sure.
Might have missed it because I was drawing cartoons here, but I wanted to know if on the cages that you're going to build there, I know what we're looking at the economics, of not paying so much money to build. How about restroom facilities? I didn't hear if you said that every cage is going to have a restroom facility, or you're going to have one major center.
No, they have individual, Commissioner, plus showers, okay? All of those have to have.
that
some-
into
it
One
takes-
cage? You're going to have
No,
a
Not
well,
you're talking about dormitory style.
Dormitory
facilities.
style.
Yeah.
You'll have,
Just wanted to
20
ask that.
20 beds in one section, and then they'll have a shower and a couple of commodes there.
2 showers and two
It's-
commodes.
That's what I was
Jail
asking.
standards.
Not every cage is going to have a restroom facility,
No,
right?
it's-
Because it'll
it's
cost
gonna-
too much money, right?
Right, right.
That's all. I agree with it.
All right, so
Go
the
ahead.
motion is to hire this
And
firm.
I'll second
All right.
it. And I'll
There's a
second it.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? And the firm is Burns and Gill? Is that the name of the firm?
That's the name of the firm.
As
I'll
long
second
as
that.
we're legally okay,
Yes,
She
sir.
said we were.
and you give us your word that you've thoroughly examined these
I
folks.
think-
This
I-
is
We
for the
have-
hiring of an architect.
Yeah.
Right.
Considered a
I think it's a
professional
good
service.
idea from what let me just say this. In talking to this architect, I was pretty impressed with him. He knows his stuff. He's got experience working on these projects. I just know that y'all never like to do this.
Well, but,
You're the one that never likes to do it more than anybody else, and so I said, well, I want to give them the option of go the other way if they want.
I trust
but
the sheriff.
but I-
Thank you.
I do
Appreciate
too.
that,
Okay.
Commissioner.
I
The
think
the
this is.
judge knows, the sheriff knows we're going to hold him accountable.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's.
And if he's willing to,
I would need to meet with the sheriff so we can negotiate the contract with the
Right.
architect and then bring
And then
that
bring it
contract
back.
back on for actual
Right.
approval.
I think this is the right way to go, so all those in favor, so the motion is to negotiate with the.
Right.
With the architect, Burns and Gill.
of Burns and Gills to build the facility, and there's a second to that motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right.
And I'm really happy to see that facility going to be utilized.
very effectively, we hope.
It's going to be guaranteed.
Judge, could we go to 13? We have 2 JPs here that I know.
Well, I didn't know we had, something for them
Yeah,
here.
number
Okay,
th- number
13,
13.
consideration and approval of clerk position to serve on Justice Peace, Precinct 7, Place 1, and Justice Peace Precinct 7, Place 2 courts.
Were we gonna wait till after the budget presentation to hear that one?
Do we have to?
You can, but I know that the auditor's not here today, but we met
Well,
last
he
week.
has his assistant. He's
Martha's here.
He's the
I don't know if
spokesperson.
she spoke, did she speak to you about this?
I'm not going to do anything.
But we did meet with Joey Keys, and based on their current activity and the revenues that they've already generated, that he is willing to certify the additional revenues to create this position for the remainder of the fiscal year.
All right.
Well, that being the
Got the money
case, I
come
move
in,
that we
and
approve
I
the
second it.
position pending the certification by Mark Yates.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second to that motion? By Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by state and I. Aye. Motion carried. That was easy.
You can't vote, Judge.
And Judge, I'm glad you look so well.
Thank
Well,
you very
both
much,
of you look
Commissioner.
well, but I know that you had a few problems.
We stepped on a landmine there.
Yeah, exactly. And Dad, I left a message for you to call me.
Okay. Yeah, it's a clerk one position.
Right.
Okay, so.
Well, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Adam.
All right. Thank you. Motion carries. 14. 12. For 12.
12.
Consideration and possible approval of resolution requesting Texas Transportation Commission for the return of unused highway easement to original grantor South Padre Ltd. for easements conveyed in 1972 and 1973, and our lawyer is not here. It says legal.
You have to go to the bathroom.
Okay, well, let's come back to that. 13,
Table?
consider, we did 13. 14, we'll come back to that.
to
just a second.
12.
14, consideration and possible action regarding the creation of a security guard position for the Dancy Building Courthouse.
Judge, I think 3 weeks ago, the Commissioner's report, when this item was originally presented, asked us to see if we could find some information regarding hiring a private company to provide the security for the Dancy Building. We were presented with a proposal by one of the companies, but I don't really want to mention the name of the company because if you decide to go out for bids, it might prejudice them or it might give others the information. So what I did was I prepared a memo which I just handed out, which essentially in the table that's there lists out the cost per hour for the county to provide the security position and for the private company to provide a security position. And originally we proposed that we have one supervisor and 2 guards and then 2 part-time positions, but in fairness to the private company, they just gave us what their supervisor would be and what a regular security officer would be. And so I've listed out the cost per hour. The security officer position is really the closest, with the county being 60 cents roughly, I guess 65 cents above what the private company would provide it for. But if you look at the overtime/holiday pay, that's where the figures go in favor of the county, because the first figure that you have there per hour for the county includes the benefits and things of that nature, and so your overtime/holiday pay is only the per hour wage. It doesn't reflect the amount of money that would be needed for your health insurance and things of that nature when they broke it down in the personnel office. And when you do that and you factor in the 14 holidays that Cameron County offers its employees, then the private company's actual over the period, the full year cost is about $600 more. And each variable will change it back and forth, so that's really no one outweighs the other in choice, other than that if the county employs them through its system, it's providing $8.56 an hour. They get the full benefits, the county benefits, the health insurance, and things of that nature. And I don't have a comparison as to what's being offered through the private company, but if we were to decide to go that way, we would have their benefits laid out so that we would either make them comparable to what the county offers, or at least we'd be aware of what we're doing. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate you getting this information. I know I was the one that question whether or not it could be done less expensively by going outside. The difference here isn't that great until you get into overtime, then it's more expensive, it appears.
For a small, very negligible amount.
Whom, if we hire these in the county, whom are they going to be reporting to?
Originally, based on a conversation with the bridge system, and they had indicated that they wouldn't be able to supervise them, we were going to figure out a way to have them supervised by somebody in the building itself. And we do have a TCLO certified law enforcement group, which is the fire marshal and his deputies. But since then, we've spoken to the bridge system director, Mr. Sepulveda, and he's indicated that he's willing to allow these positions to be created in his department, and that he would oversee them and make sure that the scheduling is done appropriately, which would eliminate the need for a supervisor from our original proposal, and also would provide a lot more cover for the individuals and things like that. So it's probably, if the court is going to create them as county positions, we'd recommend that they be created under the bridge system and just assigned to the.
He also would have a larger pool to draw from in the event of illnesses.
Why do we need security guards at the Dancy building?
There are a couple of reasons. One is the fact
we don't have them here. Okay.
We have constables here.
Well, we do have law enforcement.
We don't have them here. In this building, we don't have security guards, right?
That's true, but
okay. So why do we need?
We have some in almost immediate proximity. The Dancy building is isolated. We do have
the sheriff here today.
We have four. The Dancy building during the day has 4 unsecured entrances. There's one on each side of the building. One of those entrances lies directly next to the county treasurer's office, where deposits and cash are processed and checks are received and things of that nature. It's right on the corner. The building's extremely vulnerable to someone just coming in, doing whatever they'd like in that office and stepping back out without any of the other part of the building being aware. Not to mention in the evening.
Do we intend to have a security system in this building?
There are, but it essentially just opens and closes the doors and tells you if a window's been broken or not. During the day, that system is off.
But in the treasurer's office, couldn't we just, have a security monitoring system like the little button they used to have underneath my desk here?
What if they just left the treasurer
why do we want
here?
to spend that kind of money,
That's always an option to the Commissioner's Court. However, it does leave the remainder of the building susceptible to any sort of violence that somebody would want to.
But we're susceptible here. We have a court that operates out of this courtroom when we're not here a lot of the days.
Right.
We don't have security.
And that's a big problem. We are coming back to the Commissioner's Court on that issue. That's a big gap in our security in this courthouse.
I think we ought to address that gap before we address the Dancy building, because I think that you have more propensity for violence in family law or whatever court it is that we have here, child custodies and all those things.
Well, the DA will be here when they move out also.
We're going to have to do something about it.
Were you going to propose that we have security here, even if, let's say that the Dancy building was not finished? You were still concerned about security here?
Well, no, we've always been concerned about security in this building, but having the proximity to the courts and having a panic button that essentially calls the bailiffs and things of that nature from just a building away versus a block and a half away. The security that we were talking about in advance was that the building, while it was unlit, was suffering vandalism. People were throwing bricks through the windows and just going into the building, and we're not sure exactly what they were all up to in each one of the rooms. But now it's a little more secure because they're able to lock it. The building's lit. The company has security guards that stay there overnight. But we are starting to put more and more valuable equipment in the building as we get closer to occupation. And so in order to protect that asset, we're recommending that there be physical presence.
Yeah, but the security guards you're proposing are not overnight security. You're proposing.
No, the system, we were asking for 1 to be in the building during the day, and then 2, at least 2 to
24
cover.
hour a day?
To cover the building
24/7, no?
Yeah, it was going to be a 24/7. We had originally thought 3 full-time positions and 2 part-times to cover any layover, but you would have a day shift, night shift, and
I can see needing security, but 3?
I think the
You're talking-
idea,
Not at one time.
I think
Not
the
all,
idea-
not all at the
yeah.
same time. No, that's just,
So that you
There's
could
only
have
one
24.
security guard at a time.
Yeah,
And
one
no
per shift.
supervisor, right?
no supervisor.
The idea of going through the bridge system makes a lot of sense to me, since they already have this set up in their system, and it can work out of the Gateway Bridge, because that's totally owned by the county.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be.
I like the fact that we're having security, because I've had in the past few years, have to deal with some bad elements out in the parking lot.
What other
what-
county building has 24-hour security
Um,
besides the jail?
Well, that's a good question.
I mean, you know, it's an overkill, you know.
Well, the other issue, Commissioner, for that building though is the exhibit room that's going to be held off across the hall from the treasurer's office, which may or may not have artifacts that the county is keeping for the historic commission or the local museums that they'll have on display. That was another concern that we believed should be identified. I mean, if the court doesn't believe 24-hour security is necessary, you know, the daytime while people are present I would believe would be necessary, and then in the evening when the building is unattended, because you really will only have cleaning staff that'll be moving in and out of the facility, and you know, otherwise the very same equipment that's vulnerable is still
Well,
vulnerable.
there's been so much money spent on this building, and it is going to be a beautiful building. It is a beautiful building. And mainly, I'm more concerned about needing it at night so that vandalism will be eliminated.
Okay. All right, so do I hear a motion on 14 to approve?
I'd like
Well-
to make the motion of.
Under the
But-
bridge
Under the
department?
bridge system.
Okay, let's be specific. So it would be under the bridge department, so that eliminates the supervisor.
Where's the funding
And-
coming
and-
from?
Yeah, what's the total? That's-
Pete's gonna pay
I
for
think
it.
we need to just add it to let the bridge system take care of it. Gateway Bridge itself, take care of it.
Another nickel or what?
If we're gonna do it 24 hours,
It's already late, Judge, the people are going to sleep, they're not watching it.
we're gonna do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we need probably 4 security guards. You know, no supervisors, you know, we'll supervise it from the bridge. And we'll have to come back and amend our budget at the bridge to incorporate those 4 positions.
You have the
I
money?
mean, it sounds to me like it's easier to set up cameras and have somebody monitor cameras or something, you know, I mean, I don't know, I just can't see spending 4 positions. I think they would be better spent if we gave constables or the sheriff's department officers to be out patrolling than having security guards around one little area. It's just my thought.
One of the reasons why when we originally discussed this, we had discussed security guards, was that we would not have to pay them at the level that we pay the constables. These positions are roughly a $17,000 a year position, comes out to about $24,000 to $25,000 when you consider the annual expense. A law enforcement officer, which the county's position has been that if you have a gun on your waist, then you get paid the same as all the other deputies, is roughly about a $34,000 to $35,000 per position. So I mean, we were thinking that the security officer would be more economical.
So they're gonna be armed with a cell phone, basically,
well,
or a radio.
Well, they have their nightsticks, and there are guns in the building downstairs in the basement.
Yeah, but they can't use them, though. I mean, a security officer
No one
cannot
knew, now
utilize.
they know.
So what you're showing here includes everything, as far as...
On the security, the per hour cost, the $12.60,
Mhm.
yeah, that is everything. That includes benefits and
Benefits.
factored in on an hourly basis. So it's roughly $8 and I think 56 cents per hour, and then the fringe, which is in keeping with what they currently offer at the bridge system.
Right, the motion was
let's
to
hear it.
approve it.
Yes.
The 4 positions funded through the bridge system without a supervisor under the bridge system. And then, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in
I
favor?
think, Judge, the bridge system has no business providing security guards at the Dancy Building. I think that our money could be better spent elsewhere as far as the bridge is concerned. And, you know, I mean, this is just going in the wrong direction. We're already taking money away from the bridge, borrowing from the bridge, and now we're adding more personnel to the bridge in something that has nothing to do with the bridge.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. 15. Oh, let me go back to 12. Consideration possible approval resolution requesting Texas Transportation Commission for the return of unused highway easement to original grantor of South Padre Island LTD for easements conveyed in 1972 and 1973. What this is, and correct me if I'm wrong on this thing, is that there's an old easement that was granted to the Texas Department of Transportation by the landowners on the property north of the conventions, or north of Highway 100, for the possible construction of Highway 100 many, many years ago. And under current state and federal laws, it is impossible for the Texas Department of Transportation to construct a highway to the north. And so what we had been examining for quite some time was a possibility of transferring that easement to the county and working some kind of an arrangement with the owners to build a highway funded through funds provided by the owners of the property. That kind of didn't pan out, and I think what has happened now is that the owners would like the Texas Department of Transportation just to give them back the easement and let them build a highway if they want to build it at their own expense, maintain it at their own expense. This is a decision that's ultimately made by TxDOT. Apparently TxDOT wants a resolution from us to make sure that, you know, we don't have any plans for that highway in the future, and obviously we don't, because we can't afford to build that highway unless somebody else funds it. So if they want to fund it, then they can build it themselves. Is that in a nutshell what we're talking about?
That's I think, an excellent presentation.
Okay, and so can I have a resolution?
To approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion?
Legal, any problems with this?
No, sir.
Okay.
This is not our easement, not our land. It's just something TxDOT wants before they do it.
Good luck.
And I think it's a good thing for y'all to do this. I mean, we need a highway, we need development to the north. It's a good thing for the economy of Cameron County.
If they get it back, hopefully we will be back to talking to you about the development of the highway.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Judge, excuse me, could we go to number 32 in Consent Island? We have someone here, and I hate to sitting here.
Well,
your map becomes property of the county?
I was looking for where the item was, the agenda was, but I couldn't find it.
32.
32.
Thank you, sir.
Consideration authorization for preliminary approval for precinct number 4, Heath Corner subdivision being 38 acres out of block 329 San Benito Irrigation Company subdivision out of share 1. Do I have to read both of them? No. They're consent items, but we've got them on there. Is there any questions, comments concerning us on those? Do I hear a motion to approve?
I know,
32?
wait,
A and
excuse
B?
me, I'm sorry, are you doing consent?
Yes.
We need to.
No, just
okay.
32. We're taking 32A and B out. Everything all right with this?
Pete, everything is all right with this one, yeah,
Okay.
I had called. Move for approval?
Okay. All right.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Yours was B.
Yeah. Okay.
You got it?
Thank you for sitting patiently.
All right. Going back to the agenda. 15, consideration and authorization to sign a release requested by Elvis and Annabelle LLC to use and otherwise arrange and display the name of Cameron County, whether by verbal reference or printed form, as company in its sole discretion may be determined in connection with a motion picture currently entitled Elvis and Annabelle. Make this quick, Remy.
Judge, we recommend that you not grant the release for the reason that the county doesn't have ownership of its name. And that,
Not to grant.
Well,
What was that again?
Wait a minute.
Excuse
They
me,
want to
what?
use, real quick, there's a movie that's going to be made. In the movie, there's this beauty queen that comes out, and she's a Cameron County beauty queen, and they want to use Cameron County on her little stove that they use when they have these beauty queens given the beauty queen thing, and they want us to give them permission to do that. And our response to that is that it is not our name to give permission to use that. It's a public name. They do whatever they, we're not going to tell them they can use it or not use it. It's not our job
To give them permission.
Yeah.
It's not our job.
well, I think that we should consider the economic impact of filming on that particular area. I think we
Well,
should consider the exposure.
This is a separate,
Right.
separate issue
Okay.
from that.
But I don't think we should tell them not to use a name.
No, we're not telling them not to. We're just not going to grant the release because that would give them the ability to use it in any manner.
Commissioner, the release is very broad, and it just grants
Yeah.
them all kinds of.
Just tell them to use it.
They can do whatever they want. I mean,
We
it's up
just
to them.
don't,
We're
we
not
don't
gonna
have the
file suit.
authority.
Because if anything in the movie were to be offensive to any of the citizens of
Then
Cameron
they're
County,
gonna
they
say we
will.
gave them permission, yeah.
That's one of the reasons why we would
All right, is
recommend
there a
not.
motion
just
to,
table it?
to not just.
Table,
I'll make that motion.
Table it.
table it.
Table it?
Yeah, just
Motion to
table it.
table.
We don't take action.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Well, I think for their legal purposes, they'd rather hear
probably
that
need you to-
we didn't sign the release, that we're not signing the release.
Right, that you're not going to sign the release. So I would recommend that you would just deny the, granting the.
Yeah, withdraw my table motion and
You motion to
just my
deny.
motion to deny.
There's a second to that motion. I'll second to that motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 16, consideration and possible action regarding a request of Film Commission for the possible use of a portion of Boca Chica Beach by a production company on June 4th, 2006.
Judge and Commissioners, we've been approached by the Texas Film Commission, and also there's a representative from the Brownsville Board of Film Commission. Peter Goodman is a film commissioner. He's here as well.
This is no relation to this.
They're not related. They're
That's what
just-
confused me, okay?
Yeah, it had
It was the extensive backup that I had.
It was, it was Cameron County's day to get phone calls from film companies. There's a request from a production company. They are thinking that one of the locations that they'll be shooting on will be on Boca Chica Beach. The movie is set in the 1800s, and they're looking for an undeveloped, nice natural piece of beach. So
The prequel to Lonesome Dove.
Precursor, I think.
yes, the prequel to Lonesome Dove. I think it goes by the name of Comanche Moon.
Yeah.
They would like to have some sort of
But we're not
access,
gonna have Tommy Lee Jones, and we're
controlled
not gonna have
access
Robert
to the
Duvall.
location. We don't own the beach, and Cameron County currently doesn't have a permitting process in order to allow, film companies to block off areas. And in talking to the legal department, we would treat this as though they were asking for a road closure, temporary road closure, as though they were holding a special event in that location. So we're going to ask them to submit the necessary paperwork for the court to approach it from that perspective.
Do we have roads there?
Well, the
Access,
the
right?
access road.
Access.
Yeah, but that's not our highway. That's a state highway. We don't have any
Not a
roads that are
county- not a
designated in
county.
Boca
No,
Chica.
I'm talking about once it comes off there and it runs along the front of the beach, it's not
Right,
like,
but we don't have
it's not like a
have
county road. but it's a
county
road.
dedicated roads in the Boca Chica area.
What they're asking for is a portion of the
We
beach.
can block it off. I mean,
I move to
I'm
approve.
just trying to get technical here, because we're technical on one and
Well,
we're
we're
not
very
technical on
technical
the.
today,
No.
David.
Here,
We're technical today.
here, it wasn't, we couldn't do it, and now here, even though we have no publicly dedicated roads, we're talking about closing the road.
I was
And
under
the
the
amendment-
impression that there was county access,
We have
like
an
the
area
way
that
we
we
have it out
maintain.
on Andy Booley.
We
But
maintain
we
the
don't have
beach
that.
out there.
We clean.
Well, that's maintaining. it.
What
That's all
were
there is
you
to do.
recommending?
there's
What
this-
were you recommending?
There's a statute that allows the county to, by request for specially, from people that are going to have special events, to close a portion of a county road or a
Entrance.
public road. Not necessarily, I mean, just even a portion of the road for a special event for, a short period of time. So I was telling Remy, I think that would be the better way to go, but I was under the impression that it
We
was a
had
county
roads.
access road,
We don't
like
have
we do
roads.
in the county,
Well, in
one part of
essence, it is.
It is,
public road.
I mean,
Yeah, it is.
it's a public road.
We maintain it in a sense.
And I move to approve it.
We maintain the road.
Yeah, we clean it, we're out there
We
doing all
grade
sorts of
it so
stuff.
people can get up and
Sometimes
down
the
it.
state gives us the materials, but we do it,
Right, motion?
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify
So
by
we're
saying aye.
granting them authority to go and film there, right?
Yeah.
Well, what
Yeah.
you're
For- for
actually,
how many
We're
days
gonna wait,
ago,
they're gonna
it's the
submit the
process.
request to us, and then we're gonna go through the process.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it back on under the statute that allows us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there gonna
Well-
be any interference with the regular visitors to the?
They haven't given us the specifics of what they would need. They need one shot that's essentially on the beach part, so at one point, they'll have to block off traffic from driving on the right where the surf is. And then
Everyone-
another shot is.
Everyone will be out there watching it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's going to attract people.
We want to know when it is.
So, and then another shot is at the base of the dunes. So there may be some minor control or interference with traffic. I mean, they're willing to work with us. I think.
I know how to do it.
Yeah. So I mean, we're trying to
You will know
minimize.
the timeline?
Well, we originally it was June 4th, but we're not sure exactly. That they've already told us that it's probably going to be a week later. We're going to see if there's a way to. Well, no, to convince them to go sometime during the week. So we're not exactly sure what the date's going to be. We'd prefer them not be there on a weekend, just because there's more traffic at that time. But they're.
I mean, somebody's here from the film commission.
We just need to
from the
encourage
Brownsville Film
them.
Commission.
Oh, Brownsville. We need to encourage them to come on.
Not the
down.
Texas Film
What needs to be done.
Yes, but I've been working with the Texas Film Commission on this project as well as other projects that we do in the valley. As is fairly standard in any kind of filming on either television series or movies, dates change hourly, basically. And they're shooting in several locations in Texas, so they're not quite sure which day. And we are going to encourage them to try and shoot during the week because there'll be less of a disruption during the week. But we don't know yet. In fact, there's scouts who will actually pick the portion of the beach that they're going to be shooting on, won't even be here for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And we're going to encourage them to go
Is there a
south.
second?
So now, Pete, you cannot be out there with your fishing pole right in front of the thing, fishing just so you can get out in the film. Because they were not using those kind of fishing poles in those days.
You have the bamboo stick.
I'm gonna use my boat and go around and then go through the surf.
As a matter of fact, they want to make sure that the portion of the beach, they wanted assurance that you can shoot on Boca Chica facing the water and not see any oil derricks.
Yeah,
there is
Any
no
drilling equipment.
you can.
No, not from there, you can't anyway, but they want to make sure.
Did you have a second to the motion?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion
Thank you.
carries. Thank you. 17, consideration and approval of agreement between Cameron County and City of Brownsville regarding the relocation of Jose M. Lopez statue. Do you hear a motion on that?
Second?
Motion by
Who's
Commissioner.
paying for this?
City of Brownsville.
Totally.
Yes, sir.
They're moving our statue.
It's half
Their statue
Yeah.
also, and I think that move's being donated to them. So we're not.
Go ahead, Rick.
Well, just saying that the purpose of the agreement is to ensure that the artist is, a part of the move. We had that responsibility in the original agreement. They have contacted her. She is working with them. Also, it just puts in place some language that guarantees that the foundation is going to support the statue and that they're going to be responsible for it. Making sure that it's maintained and things of that nature, and that it's taken care of.
And that the city will pay for the transportation costs for the sculptor to come down and her fees for helping to dismantle the statue and have it transported and put back correctly.
It's a good thing. That's a wonderful statue, and it just is not being seen by anyone. And it needs a better location, and I think the Veterans Park.
Well, the Veterans Park would be a better location for it. I speak to Sergeant Lopez's daughter quite often, not quite often, but occasionally, on different issues. I've explained to her that this is planned and to see if the family would have any issues with it. And she was very positive that it would be located in a place where it would be better serve the community and more access by everyone. So she's very much positive on the issue.
Well, I was in favor of putting it in front of coming out from Mexico from the very beginning, because it's unseen there where it's at now.
Not in a good location.
So an improvement would be made going
We have
there.
a first and second one?
Yeah.
All right. Was there a first and a second?
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 18, consideration and authorization to adopt an order accepting the road name change of Cameron County Road 745, aka Dump Road, to Pereira Compassion Road in Bayview, Citrus Groves, Unit Number 2 Subdivision and Precinct Number 3. Do I hear a motion on that?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion?
Question, or not comment, I will bring back an agenda item next week for approval into the county road system for this road.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Consent items. Items 19. I'm just waiting to take the floor.
No. I want to be able to work on the road over there legally.
Judge, we've had a request to table item number 22.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because Constable Gomez called it. Item 19 through 34, tabling number 22, and we already took an action on item number 32. Yes, sir, what do you got?
Can we table 24?
También, tabling 24.
Is there a reason for that?
The other item that needed to get on before this one, which was to award the bid to the lowest bidder, didn't get on, so I'll bring it back next week.
It should have been 23, right?
29 and 30 need to be tabled. We need to come back and put an item similar to item number 10.
29 and 30?
29, so we're tabling 22, 24, 29, and 30.
All right, so there are any other questions, concerns, comments? Motion, who made the motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, and the motion is to approve items 19 through 34, tabling item number 22, 24, 29, and 30, and we've already approved 32. And the second was made by who?
I did.
By Commissioner Garza. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed. Motion to go. Have any supplemental items? One, right?
Yeah, you have a supplemental.
You have one supplemental.
Agenda.
Which one?
Those are just the legislative reports.
Are we going to hear Javier's report before executive session or not?
If you want, or if you want to wait till next week.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't have
real
the
late.
revenues. Mark will be doing the revenues next week.
Okay, why don't we wait till next week? There are motion to table item number.
Quickly.
Okay, 4, motion by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, matters table. And then the item is the
Legislative.
So the legislative
You've
update.
got the packet.
They have, if they could just put them into the
Motion
record.
to acknowledge,
The report for May 3rd and May 9th.
So moved.
motion by Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. That's the one on the presentation of the legislative update of the 79th third special legislative session. Motion to go on executive session.
So moved.
By Commissioner
Second.
Benavides, second by Commissioner Garza. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Second by Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We're now in regular session. Item number 36A, possible action on confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Landmark, Cameron County versus Faulkner USA, formerly known as Landmark, approval of settlement agreement, motion to authorize approval of settlement agreement with Coastal Engineering and
Commercial roofing.
commercial roofing for the amount of
$3 million.
$3 million.
So moved.
By
Second.
Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 36B, possible action on confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning issues regarding the Cameron County detention centers and the Cameron County Sheriff Administration Building.
There was no discussion.
Table.
By
Second.
Commissioner Garcia, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 36C, possible action on confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning issues related to possible acquisition of real property for the Dancy Building renovation project pursuant to VTCA Government Code Section 551.071. Motion to acknowledge report of counsel,
Richard Walker.
Richard Walker. Motion by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Tamayo. For discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. 36D, possible action on confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel regarding status of remedial measures urged by Texas Commission on Jail Standards. Motion to acknowledge report of county judge.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 36E, possible action on deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of land for proposed park in La Paloma Precinct 4. Motion to authorize Javier Mendez to negotiate with Mr. Alberto Garza Jr. for the purchase of certain parcel of land in La Paloma.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 35G, possible action on confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning liability issues at Cameron County Jail. Motion to acknowledge report of the Commissioners Court Counsel and to authorize
Well,
negotiation.
we can just
You missed
authorize
that.
report because item number 8 in regular session is actually an action item.
Right. Who's making the motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Garcia, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 36.
How about F?
You skipped that.
F, possible action on deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of parcel 121 for Primera Road project in Primera Precinct 4 area. Motion to authorize purchase of the property for $4,105.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 36. H, possible action on confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning tax foreclosure lawsuit, cause number 2003-094463 D and Las Palmas Construction Company. Motion to authorize the Cameron County tax collection law firm to
settle in our best interest, so moved.
Yeah. Second.
Yeah, to
motion
settle.
by Commissioner Garcia, second by Commissioner Wood. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 36 I, possible action on deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of parcel 159 for Primera Road project in Primera Precinct number 4. Motion to authorize purchase of property for $455.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 36J, possible action on confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel regarding courthouse security personnel deployment pursuant to DTA's governmental counsel. And that's the motion to do what?
Acknowledge report of
Acknowledge report.
council.
And have the committee review.
Yeah, motion to have the security committee, knowledge report of Commissioners Court Counsel, and have the courthouse security committee reconvene and propose a recommended plan for courthouse security at the Cameron County Commissioners
So
Court
moved.
building. Motion by Commissioner Tamayo.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
No, we need to go back to number 8.
Item number 8, item number 8 is consideration authorization to exempt the contracting and or hiring of a jail doctor, either temporary or permanent, from the Texas County Purchasing Act.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Garcia, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
I don't want to.
By Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner